Think you know America? You have been to the national parks. You have driven Route 66. You know Yellowstone, the Grand Canyon, Times Square, the Vegas Strip. You think you have a handle on this country. You don't. Right now, there are places in the United States that the government has never fully explained. Places you cannot visit without risking arrest. A private island where the most powerful men in America disappear for 2 weeks every summer, and nobody is allowed to talk about what happens there. An abandoned island in the middle of New York City that almost nobody knows exists. A bay in American territory that glows blue in the dark with living light. And buried inside mountains across the country, entire parallel governments built to survive the end of the world. We have 14 of them. Some you can visit, some you absolutely cannot. And at least 3 of them will make you question how much of this country you actually know. Let's start with the ones they really don't want you to find. Place 1, Area 51, Nevada. Most people know the name. Almost nobody knows the full reality. Area 51 is a highly classified U.S. Air Force installation in the Nevada desert, roughly 83 miles northwest of Las Vegas. For decades, the government did not merely keep it secret, it denied the facility existed at all. The U.S. government only acknowledged Area 51's existence in 2013, 60 years after operations began there. 60 years of official denial about a facility that thousands of employees had worked at, commuting on unmarked aircraft from a classified terminal at McCarran Airport in Las Vegas, known internally as Janet Airlines. The declassified answer to what was actually happening there is less dramatic than the alien theories and genuinely remarkable. Area 51 was the primary development and testing site for America's most advanced aircraft. The U-2 spy plane, the SR-7 Blackbird, and the F-117 stealth fighter were all developed and first tested here. The strange aircraft sightings that generated decades of UFO legends were real. The aircraft were classified American technology, not extraterrestrial visitors. The government let people believe in aliens rather than confirm the existence of technology it was not ready to reveal. The area remains heavily guarded with surveillance cameras, motion sensors, and armed guards. Trespassing is a federal offense. The government has never fully declassified what is currently happening inside, and the airspace above remains permanently restricted. You cannot go in, but you can drive to the perimeter on Nevada Route 375, the extraterrestrial highway, and stare at the fence while armed security watches you from unmarked vehicles on the ridge above. Thousands of people do exactly this every year. None of them have gotten any closer to the truth. If you've made it this far, please consider liking the video and subscribing to our channel. It's completely free, and we bring new videos about our country. Place 2, Mount Weather, Virginia. 46 miles west of Washington, D.C., buried inside of Virginia Mountain, is a facility that most Americans have never heard of and that the government has never fully described. Mount Weather High Point Special Facility is a top-security underground installation with its own replica mini-government, police force, fire department, hospital, and its own laws. It is not a bunker in the conventional sense. It is a fully functional parallel government designed to continue operating the United States from underground in the event that Washington, D.C. is destroyed. Mount Weather has direct communication links with the White House and reportedly includes an underground bunker with its own hospital, crematorium, and emergency power plant. It remains completely off-limits to civilians. Top congressional leaders were reportedly taken here after the September 11 attacks. It is managed by FEMA, giving it a veneer of bureaucratic ordinariness that masks what it actually is, a secret city designed to survive the end of the world as we know it. The mountain looks unremarkable from the road. The perimeter is marked with razor wire and signs reading, "U.S. property, no trespassing. Locals know to stay away." That is precisely the point. Place 3, the Greenbrier Bunker, West Virginia. This one has a twist. It was secret for 30 years. Then a journalist found it. Now, you can visit most of it. The Greenbrier Bunker sits beneath the Greenbrier Resort in White Sulphur Springs, a 5-star hotel that has hosted American presidents since the 1800s. It was a top-secret Cold War fallout shelter designed to house all 535 members of Congress in the event of a nuclear attack and remained a closely guarded secret until it was decommissioned in 1992. The cover story was elegant. The government quietly funded a massive wing renovation of the resort in the late 1950s. Construction workers had security clearances. The new wing was built above ground as a legitimate hotel expansion. Below it, secretly, an enormous bunker was excavated, complete with blast doors 18 inches thick, decontamination chambers, a broadcast studio for emergency government communications, dormitories for hundreds of lawmakers, and a clinic. For 35 years, guests dined in the restaurant directly above a nuclear fallout shelter and had no idea. In 1992, the Washington Post broke the story. The government decommissioned the facility rather than maintain a bunker whose location was now public. Today, guided tours are available. You can walk the blast corridors and stand in the decontamination chamber. Access to certain deeper sections remains restricted. What is still down there, nobody is officially saying. Place 4, Bohemian Grove, California. Every July, for 2 weeks, some of the most powerful men in America vanish into a 2,700-acre redwood forest in Monte Rio, California, about 75 miles north of San Francisco. They include sitting and former U.S. presidents, corporate CEOs, military generals, cabinet members, media executives, and a rotating cast of artists and celebrities. They stay in rustic camps with names like Mandalay, Hillbillies, and Caveman. They perform rituals, they make decisions, and absolutely nobody outside is allowed in. The Bohemian Club was founded in 1872. Its male-only members meet annually at the Grove. It has hosted America's most powerful men for generations, former presidents Bush Sr. and George W. Bush among them. It is confirmed that portions of the Manhattan Project were negotiated here during World War II. The most documented ritual is the cremation of care, an elaborate outdoor ceremony performed on the first night involving a mock burning of a human effigy at the base of a 40-foot stone owl. The ceremony is theatrical, and the effigy is not real. But the fact that the most powerful men in American business and government gather in secret in a California forest to perform a ritual around a giant stone owl is, by any measure, a genuinely remarkable thing that most Americans are entirely unaware of. No cameras, no recordings, no journalists. The motto of the Bohemian Club is "Weaving spiders come not here," meaning no business is to be conducted at the Grove. Whether that is honored in practice is something only the members know. Place 5, North Brother Island, New York. In the middle of the East River in New York City, visible from the Bronx. Within sight of busy highways and residential neighborhoods, there is an abandoned island that most New Yorkers have never visited and many have never heard of. North Brother Island was first developed in 1885 as Riverside Hospital, a quarantine facility for patients with highly contagious diseases, smallpox, typhus, yellow fever, tuberculosis. Its most famous involuntary resident was Mary Mallon, known as Typhoid Mary, the first person in American history officially identified as an asymptomatic carrier of typhoid fever. She was forcibly quarantined on North Brother Island twice, the second time for the last 23 years of her life, dying there in 1938. The island later became a drug rehabilitation center for teenage heroin addicts in the 1950s and early 1960s, closed amid reports of abuse and neglect, and has been abandoned ever since. The buildings, the hospital wards, the nurses' residence, the administrative offices are still standing, slowly consumed by vegetation. Trees grow through the floors. Vines cover the facades. The whole island looks like something from a post-apocalyptic film, sitting placidly in one of the most densely populated urban environments on Earth. Today, North Brother Island is off-limits to the public and managed as a bird sanctuary by the New York City Department of Parks and Recreation. Access is strictly controlled to protect the nesting habitat of the black-crowned night heron. You can see it from the water. You cannot set foot on it. The abandoned hospital of Typhoid Mary sits 200 yards from the Bronx, completely inaccessible and almost completely unknown. Place 6, Fort Knox, Kentucky. Everyone has heard the phrase, "as safe as Fort Knox." Almost nobody has thought about what is actually inside it, or what else it has contained beyond the gold. Fort Knox houses approximately 147.3 million troy ounces of gold bullion, currently valued at roughly $400 billion. The vault walls are granite lined with concrete. The vault door weighs more than 20 tons and can only be opened by a combination that requires multiple staff members, each of whom knows only part of the sequence. No single person knows the full combination. The last time Congress was allowed to audit the gold was 1953. What is less widely known is what else Fort Knox has stored. During World War II, the facility held the original U.S. Constitution, the Declaration of Independence, the Magna Carta, and the crown jewels of several European nations sent to America for safekeeping during the Nazi occupation. The most important documents of Western civilization were locked in a vault in Kentucky while the war determined the fate of the world. Spanning almost 110,000 square feet, the installation straddles 3 counties in northern Kentucky. No member of the public has ever been inside. You will never go in. But knowing what has been kept there makes the fence line worth thinking about. Place 7, Cheyenne Mountain Complex, Colorado. On the surface, Cheyenne Mountain near Colorado Springs looks like a mountain. Inside it, hollowed out at enormous expense during the Cold War, is one of the most heavily fortified structures ever built by human beings. The Cheyenne Mountain Complex serves as the primary command center for NORAD, the North American Aerospace Defense Command. The complex is built on 1,319 enormous steel springs designed to absorb the shock of a nearby nuclear detonation. The entire structure floats inside the mountain, mechanically isolated from the rock around it. It can sustain a nuclear blast close enough to level a city. Inside are 15 freestanding steel buildings, their own power generation, water reservoirs, fuel tanks, and enough supplies to operate independently for an extended period. The facility monitors every aircraft, missile, and satellite movement in North American airspace 24 hours a day. If a missile were launched toward the United States right now, Cheyenne Mountain is where that information would arrive first. The facility is not open to the public. You can drive to the base of the mountain and look up at the rock face and know that somewhere inside it, people are watching the sky. Place 8, Niihau, Hawaii, the Forbidden Island. Hawaii has 8 main islands. 7 of them welcome visitors. The 8th Niihau has been privately owned since 1864, when Elizabeth Sinclair purchased it from King Kamehameha V for $10,000. The Robinson family, her descendants, have owned it ever since. Niihau is home to about 130 people who live largely free from modern technology. It is closed to the outside world. Celebrities have been turned away. There are no exceptions for wealth, fame, or influence. The residents speak Hawaiian as their primary language. There are no paved roads. There is no public electricity. The Robinson family's stated justification is protection of the residents from outside influence, from disease, from the cultural erasure that has affected Hawaiian communities on the larger islands. Critics argue the arrangement is paternalistic. Supporters argue it has preserved something irreplaceable. Either way, you cannot go. The island sits 17 miles from Kauai. You can see it on a clear day from the western shore. It might as well be on the moon. Place 9, Havasu Falls, Arizona. Now for something completely different. A secret that is not classified, not restricted, and open to any American willing to work for it. At the bottom of a remote canyon in northwestern Arizona, accessible only by an 8-mile hike down a steep desert trail or by mule, or by helicopter, is a series of waterfalls whose color defies easy description. The water runs a deep turquoise blue-green, the product of high concentrations of calcium carbonate that coat the riverbeds in travertine and give the pools their extraordinary color. The effect is so vivid that photographs are routinely mistaken for digital manipulations. They are not. The falls are located on the Havasupai Indian Reservation, the traditional homeland of the Havasupai people, whose name translates as People of the Blue-Green Water. Even the mail is delivered by mule. Access requires a permit, and those permits sell out within minutes, sometimes seconds, of going on sale each year. The hike-in is strenuous. The logistics are significant. And none of that stops the permits from selling out instantly, because what is waiting at the bottom of that canyon is among the most spectacular natural features in the United States. Plan ahead. The permit process is competitive, but what is waiting down there is worth every step. Place 10, the Mormon Vault, Utah. In the Wasatch Mountains east of Salt Lake City, carved into a granite cliff at 5,000 feet elevation, is a vault that contains more personal records than almost any other single storage facility on Earth. The Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints built its Granite Mountain Records Vault in 1965 to preserve family histories collected from more than 100 countries. More than 3.5 billion images are stored there on microfilm, microfiche, and digital media. Visitors are not allowed inside for security reasons. The granite walls above the storage chambers are 700 feet thick. The facility maintains a constant temperature and humidity designed for the long-term preservation of film and digital media. The church has been systematically collecting genealogical records, birth records, marriage records, death records, census data, immigration manifests from archives, churches, civil registries, and government offices around the world for more than a century. Why? The church's theology holds that living members can perform proxy baptisms for deceased ancestors, but only if those ancestors can be identified. The genealogical records are, therefore, a religious project of staggering ambition, housed in a vault built to outlast civilization. From the outside, it looks like a tunnel entrance in a cliff face. Inside, 3.5 billion human lives are recorded and waiting. Place 11, Plum Island, New York. 8 miles off the northeastern tip of Long Island, in the waters between New York and Connecticut, there is an island that the U.S. government has operated as a classified animal disease research facility since 1954. Most of the research conducted there has never been fully disclosed to the public. Plum Island Animal Disease Center was established to study highly contagious foreign animal diseases, foot and mouth disease, African swine fever, and other pathogens that could devastate American agriculture if they reached the mainland. The island was chosen because it is surrounded by water, creating a natural quarantine barrier between the research and the continental United States. Over the decades, Plum Island has been associated with persistent questions about biosafety protocols and the range of pathogens studied there. The Department of Homeland Security took over management and announced plans to close it, with a replacement facility being built in Manhattan, Kansas. The island is not open to the public. Its research records are largely classified. Whatever was studied there over 70 years of operation remains only partially known. Place 12, Camp Peary, Virginia, the farm. If you drive through the Virginia countryside near Williamsburg, you will pass a fenced perimeter with no signage identifying who owns the land or what happens inside. There is no sign. There is no official acknowledgement. There is just fence and forest, and the clear sense that you are not supposed to be looking. Camp Peary, known in intelligence circles as the Farm, is widely believed to be the CIA's primary training center. The agency has never officially confirmed this, but former officers and multiple published accounts describe it as the location where CIA operations officers receive their clandestine training, surveillance, counter-surveillance, weapons handling, and the full range of tradecraft associated with covert intelligence work. Camp Peary covers approximately 9,000 acres. The farm is where America trains the people who operate in the shadows at an address that does not officially exist, run by an organization that spent decades officially denying operations that are now matters of public record. Drive past it if you find yourself near Williamsburg. You will not see much. That is exactly what they intend. Place 13, Congaree National Park, South Carolina. Now, for a secret that is not classified, not restricted, and entirely free to visit. The reason almost nobody knows about it is simply that nobody told them. Congaree National Park in central South Carolina is the least visited national park in the contiguous United States. It protects the largest intact expanse of old-growth bottomland hardwood forest remaining in North America, a primeval landscape of towering bald cypress trees, floodplain forests, and still dark water that looks more like the Amazon than anything most Americans associate with the South. The park contains the highest concentration of champion trees, the largest known specimens of their species, of any place in North America. Some of the cypress trees are over 500 years old. The canopy in places reaches 170 feet. The park receives fewer visitors in an entire year than Yellowstone receives in a single weekend. The trails are empty, the wildlife is extraordinary, and the experience of standing in a forest of 500-year-old trees in near total silence, in a country that has largely forgotten the place exists, is difficult to describe and impossible to replicate. It is 2 hours from Charlotte. Go. Place 14, Mosquito Bay, Puerto Rico, the bay that glows. On the southern coast of the Puerto Rican island of VX, there is a bay that glows blue in the dark, not metaphorically, not because of artificial light. It glows because every drop of water in the bay contains living organisms, microscopic single-celled dinoflagellates called Pyridinium bahamense that emit light when disturbed. When you put your hand in the water, your hand glows. When a fish moves beneath the surface, it leaves a trail of blue light. When a kayak paddle enters the water, it pulls a curtain of cold fire behind it. Mosquito Bay has been recognized by Guinness World Records as the brightest bioluminescent bay on Earth. The concentration of dinoflagellates is extraordinary, hundreds of thousands per gallon, the result of a rare combination of a narrow channel that limits water exchange, warm temperatures, red mangrove trees whose leaves provide nutrients, and the absence of freshwater rivers that would dilute the population. Tours operate from the town of Esperanza on Vieques. The bay is accessible by kayak or glass-bottom electric boat. Motorized fuel-burning boats are prohibited to protect the ecosystem. The best nights are the darkest nights, new moon, no cloud cover, no artificial light. Under those conditions, the bay does not merely glow. It looks like the water itself has been replaced by something alive. Puerto Rico is United States territory. No passport required. And one of the most remarkable natural phenomena on the planet is waiting there, largely unknown, on an island most Americans have never thought to visit. America is enormous. It is layered with history, with government secrecy, with natural wonders overlooked simply because they are not convenient to the places most people already go, and with places so deliberately hidden that the people who know about them have spent decades making sure you do not. Some of what we covered today, you can visit. Havasu Falls, Congaree, the Greenbrier Bunker, Mosquito Bay. These are accessible to anyone willing to plan and make the trip. Others Area 51, Mount Weather, Nihao, Camp Peary. You will never see the inside of. The fence line is as close as you get. But knowing they exist changes something. America is not fully mapped. It is not fully known. And the distance between what this country shows the world and what it keeps hidden in mountains, on islands, in classified files, and in bays that glow in the dark is a distance worth reckoning with. If you have been to any of these places, or if there is a secret location in your state that deserves to be on this list, tell us in the comments. We read every one. Subscribe for more. The next video covers places in America that have been deliberately erased from history. That one goes even deeper.